Oh, hello, and welcome to Dente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey. E stands for evil.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most pasta, and be critically silly doing it. Tonight we have chicken bones. So, when we had this one suggested to us by a commenter on YouTube from one of our previous stories, and when I looked up who the author of Chicken Bones was, Stephen Shorter, I was pleasantly delighted, because we know that guy. We've done stories of his. He was the one such as Slender Knight, even though he doesn't quite like that one. He's also done Digital Immortality, which you didn't really like very much. But he's also done like some really good ones, like The Lock, the Baggage series, Snuff, and actually I think that might be the ones that we've touched on. He has a couple of other ones that we haven't touched on yet.
Was I on board for any of those?
No.
Okay, then my problem is I purge my memory banks too much. Because all of those I'm drawing a blank.
You guys, I don't think you guys have touched like the first of his, like the ones that we did for like for your Patreon episodes. I don't know if you guys touched it. Like,
so
it was. I think it was like into year 2 that we started like picking up his stuff, and it was mainly through like because of it started with the crossover we did with the Drunk and the Ugly podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, when I found it, I was like, oh, it's a Stephen Shorter story. Sweet. This will be really well written, and but have some like and probably have a really decent story, or be kind of slightly off. Great recommendation.
Yeah, I don't know if that's
great reputation.
If you're complimenting him or insulting him at this point.
No, like it's I was pleasantly delighted to read the story. But we'll go into that, like, 'cause we're not here to praise people all the time.
Well, when they deserve it, we can.
When they deserve it. But yeah, so we'll go into the rundown for Chicken Bones. So our narrator, this is told actually from a pure first-person perspective. Mm-hmm. Like, the narrator is talking to the reader, but the reader, in this case, we are actually assuming a role, or... No, the reader's not actually, like, being talked to in this. He's being talked to by a third party who is this reporter character. But the reporter never talks. It's just the character who's narrating the story is... It's just that one side.
It's a first-person perspective from Nair.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's invited this reporter into his house to interview about these missing kids case that's happened. And he goes into what happened. And so he was a fresh out of university teacher, starting at a school in Tirgulwyn, or the village of Tirgulwyn, back in the 90s. And everything was starting off like it was a fresh start, really good. Like it was like really, he thought it was going to be really good, and then the dolls happened. Mm-hmm. So basically, this fog rolls into the valleys as the school buses come into this new school that's been put up to accommodate all the different villages and hamlets in the valleys of Gulwyn. He's going through the register of all the kids that are coming in for his class, and he's missing one. But he's like, oh, maybe they're sick or something like that. And as he's going to get some fresh air, like halfway through his class, he goes outside and hears a sound like a clank, clank, clank. And he looks out to the gate where near where the kids go out to near the road, and there's this doll. And it's like a porcelain-headed doll with like some kind of woolen body. And he takes it inside, and it's
tied to the pole.
Yeah, it's tied to the pole like a noose, basically like a noose. And the face on it is articulated to look like the kid from that's not there. Mm-hmm. So he takes it inside, and because it looks like this, like a seam is really like just begging to be like loosened and stuff like that. And it's a lot heavier than he thinks it should be. And when he opens it up, clatters out just chicken bones. Oh, well, he's not
Bones.
sure. Yeah, bones initially, and he's like, "Oh God!" And so he like contacts some people, and the cops show up and stuff, and they investigate this because this is like some kind of weird prank or threat or something like that. And one of the cops who was formerly who grew up on a farm identifies them as chicken bones. But then they find out that the kid has actually gone missing. Like he left his house and then never got to school. So they don't want to draw too much attention on what's going on. So they let the kids go home without telling them what's been going on or what's going on. Don't tell the parents what's happening. And then the next day, he's dreading coming to school and like worried about what's going to happen. And especially when a school bus doesn't arrive. So they set up. They contact the cops again. The cops go to investigate because they think they found the bus. And they leave a cop car with two guys in it at the school to like watch.
I believe you're missing a piece.
Am I missing?
The dolls?
We haven't got there
Not yet.
Really?
Yeah, we haven't got there
The
yet.
bus goes missing
Yeah.
first.
So he's freaking out while this is like in his class because he's only got like a handful of kids there that just walk to school, and he needs some air. So he goes outside, and then he hears the clatter, 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 like a cacophony of them. And he goes out and he sees 30 fucking dolls strung up on the gate, and he's like, "Oh!" He doesn't even need to like see what they are. That's all the kids.
Yeah.
And then he like runs over to the patrol car. And there's two dolls in there, and the cops are missing.
Yeah.
And so he runs inside, or he kind of just goes inside and faints from like anxiety and like stress of what's going on. He wakes up on like a little beanie bag thing, or like a little beanie chair, as like a paramedic or something like that is
Attending to him.
attending to him. Yeah, checking, make sure he's okay. And yeah, it's gone into the news. Like the bus was found, but the 30 kids are missing. They found a barn, like a farmhouse nearby, that has a bunch of like that the police are just like boarding up and like considering a crime scene and stuff like that. It's like horrible. Like never really quite says what happens. Just has like the you just know that something bad happened there. And as he's getting pulled into the, he leaves the school to go to get into the ambulance, and he just gets barraged by like cameras and photographers and reporters. But he's like rushed in before like anybody can get a good shot or anything like that. And after that event happens, he basically shuts himself inside his house, quits his job, doesn't leave except for like a week later when he goes up to the farmhouse and tries to get in, but like the cops are still there, like working on the perimeter and stuff like that, and they just tell him to go home. Like there's nothing he can do, and just to find, we'll let you know what we find out. And so he goes home and he checks on the news, and they apparently found a leaked footage of somebody going into that house, and in the basement there was like strung up bones like beads, but they weren't chicken bones. They were straight up children's finger bones, just strung up. So we then cut to like the kind of here and now of the story, and he said that like the last time he checked it out, like a little while ago, he had to go check out the house again. So he basically broke and entered into the house. It's a derelict at this point. It's been closed up. It's been a cold case for a couple of years. And
20 years.
Yeah, 20 years at least. And so he goes in and it doesn't find anything except when he goes to the shed, he finds in the chicken feed, because there's chickens on the property as well. He finds in the chicken feed container like normal chicken feed and like ground up bones, and there's even like a pestle and like mortar with like the remains of bones being ground up. But then he also finds a box, finds some folders with every person that was all the kids that were abducted and a photograph of them. And then he gets to like the final one. He like checks, and it's this like really blurry, like motion blurred incomplete photo of him getting into the ambulance. And there's an incomplete doll. Like the face isn't there or anything like that. But it was like getting prepped and stuff like that. So the killer, he suspects, was one of the reporters or photographers. And then in the interview, as he finishes up that, he's like, "So no, it was a great time. I really need to get that off my chest. Oh, you need a photograph of me? Yeah, sure, okay. What could it hurt?" And then like the final scene is just click, like of a photo. Mm-hmm. So that's the end of the story. Presumably either the reporter the interviewer that he was with is the killer or not. Mm-hmm. Kind of leaves that little like hanging there. Mm-hmm. And that's Chicken Bones. So I guess with starting off, do we want to do? I have a few words from God actually. Like Stephen, I actually contacted Stephen Shorter.
Like I said, I contacted Cthulhu.
I contacted Cthulhu. Yeah, no, I contacted Stephen Shorter on Twitter just to ask a few questions because we've kind of had a few contacts in the past with other stories that he's done, and just to ask him like some things about the story. I didn't ask a whole lot, but some things like I asked him like if Ker Gulwyn, which is the town that this all takes place in, is based off of anything or if it's a real place, and he says that it's based off of Bangor Gwynedd. I apologize if I'm saying that wrong.
You probably are.
Because it's Bangor, like Bangor, Maine.
Okay.
But then it's Gwynedd, as in Gwynedd. It's basically on a peninsula in northeastern UK. Mm-hmm. He spent his teens there, and according to him, it has a bleak beauty to it, and is very like hauntingly like picturesque. Hmm. Like it is just kind of almost dystopic in terms of like it's Lovecraft country in the UK. Essentially, is what it seemed like.
That seems pretty perfect.
Like he sent me he gave me a poem. Well, he showed me a poem that somebody did of the area, and after I read it, I was like, that is gothic as fuck. The other thing.
Before we move on, when I googled the place, I didn't find the place, but I found Tur Gwyn, Gwyn. There's no U and L in it, and it's apparently a term for like standing stones in a field in the UK.
Oh, that makes sense too. Like just another like creepy little like another like kind of mysticism or creepiness to it. Mm-hmm. And then according to him, the story is set in the same universe as Stephen's other stories, Baggage and The Other Network. The Other Network we've never actually done, but apparently it's one of his more popular stories. Like people, it's the one that he gets asked to like gets asked by people to like narrate and stuff like that the most. So I thought that was interesting. And it's not actually like a sequel to any of those stories. It's just kind of set in the same like creepy Lovecraftian or like mythos universe that he's created.
Yeah, there's no order to read them in.
No, they're just set in the same kind of like dreary UK world, basically. Mm-hmm. So that's what basically the gist of what I got from Stephen. So
God, as you call him.
I
know.
Words from God. Like
I know.
That's what you say when you words from authors.
I know.
As they are the gods of their stories. Mm-hmm. So I guess we'll move on to everyone expects the Grammar Inquisitions at this point. Nothing negative from me here. Just some pleasant discoveries, actually, with regards to like words that I did not know or I was not privy to. So we're going to start off with this.
Is that technically grammar?
Yeah, it's grammar.
The grammar area.
They're words.
And they're not. They are words. You're right. I'm just saying. I normally put that in my notes.
I was debating that, but I was like, then I'm not going to have anything to complain about.
This isn't complaint.
No. I'm not going to have anything like in terms of, like for grammar acquisitions. So it'd be like, and everybody expects the grammar acquisitions. I'm done. Thank you.
We've done that before, though.
I know, but I don't. Yeah.
That's fine. Go ahead.
Yeah. All right. So. The school bus had already arrived, and the children were lining up to go inside, shivering in their anoraks and school jumpers. Anoraks! a parka with faux fur lining, usually for cold weather. Also a UK slang in the vein of the Japanese otaku, someone with an obsession in a niche of knowledge or a topic. Basically like an uber secluded niche nerd kind of character or archetype.
It's also a way to speak about a group of people who are all anorexic. They're all anoraks.
No,
it's not.
No.
Oh, okay. I am misinformed.
And
joking aside, though.
Yeah. Also, the slang for the UK slang is not relevant to the story because it's actually using it literally as the cold weather gear. But I never knew. I wasn't privy to that. That was a word for parka.
Yeah.
So
and I looked at them and I was like, I remember jackets like that, but not being called anorak. And
it's probably because we don't live in the UK.
Yeah,
that's the main reason.
And I also thought they looked stupid. So,
wow.
Well, I mean, they're a parka with basically a fur-lined hoodie. So I don't know. It's not that bad. It's just
so bad.
It's warm.
Well,
that's the idea.
More, it's more. Yeah, it's warmth for it's comfort over appearance. So
it's function over form.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to get.
But it's not functional because it only has a zipper that goes down part way.
Yeah, because it drapes down like a cloak.
Yeah. So that's
Does
not
they zip up?
Yeah, they zip up, but they don't zip down all the way. So you have to.
You have to put it on. That's how a parka works.
Yeah. So it's not functional at all.
Does it keep
You're
you
wrong.
warm?
You're wrong, and I hate you.
Does it keep you warm? Yes, then it's functional.
Yes,
but you can't just zip it off.
It's not.
Whatever.
It's a function.
It doesn't matter.
We don't need to argue about this.
Anyway, I knew being a shorter story, being a Stephen Shorter story, that I'd be in for some UK flavor, and this is no exception. And I learned a new word today. And then the next one, the kids cottoned on to the mute horror being displayed by their teachers. Cotton on, phrasal verb. If you cotton on to something, you understand it or realize it, especially without people telling you about it. Another term I learned. I've never heard that before.
Here it's basically caught on.
Oh, if you caught on. Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
But it's cotton.
Yeah. It's like, did we just shorten cotton on?
Yep. We made it make more sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, regional dialects.
Yeah.
And that's my grammar positions. It wasn't really much of an inquisition so much as grammar inquiry.
Inquiry is the shit now.
And also I noticed, I think, one front butt.
Oh yeah, there's one.
There's one, right?
Yep.
But otherwise, he doesn't use it at all. No front ends or front butts whatsoever through the entire
Except
story.
for the one.
I actually had. I'm not gonna lie. I had to digitally I had to use the find option on the browser to look for butts and just it's like, is there anything? No. One.
Yeah. It wouldn't be a creepypasta if there wasn't one.
But yes, Mikey, what do you have?
I'm going to start with a run-on sentence.
Uh-oh.
That also has an interesting way to say a word. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Why don't you go ahead?
I will. Okay.
He's about to until you cut him off to tell him to go, which wasted more time. You see, by now he would have been done with his quote already. Ow!
Alright. I was fresh out of university back then, just finished my training to become a teacher, and eager to start my first professional job, so I was thrilled to be offered a place at the Tir Gulwin Infants School.
Also, is it Tyr or Kerr? Kyr Goldman.
It's T.
TIR.
Fuck. I think I have a grammar position on myself because I definitely have it written here. Kyr Goldman. Shit.
You copy and pasted.
I know.
It's not like you copy and pasted over.
That one actually I wrote, so I just typed that one out because that was the about Stephen, or Stephen's information regarding his own story.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Sorry. Yeah. Tiergelwin.
Yeah. So it's a little bit long, and the infances seems weird to me.
The what?
The infances school.
Oh yeah, infances.
Because it has a apostrophe.
That is odd.
It's the infants' school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just like, isn't that just preschool? But at that point in the story, I didn't realize it was UK.
Yeah, because it could also be like that could be something in that in another type of terminology that we have and they don't.
It might just be you're saying it wrong. Like you're saying infances, but it's infants.
Yeah, because sometimes
it's infants with an apostrophe
at the end.
Yeah,
sorry.
Well, what he's asking is it apostrophe S or S apostrophe?
That's infants, man. But that's how you say that infants.
Infances, but it's got a.
You just call it infants. When it's written, that it just means that's how you how you know that it's something's school. It's like
if it was the other way around, if it was infants with the apostrophe after the S, that would be assuming that the infants own the school. I believe, they have possession over the school.
I would understand if there was another S after that apostrophe, but it's just the apostrophe at the end of the S because putting another S is unnecessary.
Well, here's the other thing: is it even necessary to have an apostrophe? Could you just go infants?
Yeah, because the apostrophe adds not ownership, but it's the school is for infants. Yeah, the school is for that subject.
Yeah, but when
not for that subject, for that group of people.
Yeah, but when we say public school, we don't say public school
because public school is a public school, whereas and preschool is a preschool. But I'm trying to think of something.
Yeah, we don't really have an equivalent of.
We don't have an equivalent where that is where it's some the group of persons' ownership of that place. Because that's what that is trying to.
Well, there's girls' schools where
girls' schools, which is just girls, comma or apostrophe school. Probably. Or generally, it would probably just be girls. So yeah, I mean, it might be a the regional dialect thing. School, UK uses the apostrophe for that over where we just removed it.
Probably
we just streamlined it.
It's extra work. Let's get rid of that. Yeah.
I mean, we're just bumpkin. We're just the bumpkin folk in the new world. They're the rat English.
The rat English? Why do you just go into southern
America? It's fun.
Alright, that's fair. That's 100%
fair. There's no derogatory to it, derogatory nature to it.
Yeah,
it's just fun to do.
It is.
Right?
We were getting off topic though.
Yeah.
Yes. So, onwards to the front butt.
Yes.
The camera zooms in, and the beads become bones. But these aren't just chicken bones. They're not broken up into fragments like the bones in the dolls.
So disappointed, Stephen.
You had one job.
You're so close.
Also, he uses a full colon in there.
Death?
Wow.
Should be a semicolon.
Yeah, fair.
Oh, because he's not starting the list.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
That's where the creepypasta fell apart right there.
I do feel like Steven is probably going to listen to this after I did talk to him on Twitter. So I'm just I hope you're enjoying this.
Alright, and that's all that I have.
No. I suppose it's on to me then.
Yep.
So on to Explavots. No.
You're not wrong.
Well, do you have a...
Technically, you're not wrong. Although because you did, you're learning a thing in the grammar-related ones. I have one that you guys didn't mention.
Go for it.
Gibbet.
Oh, I know what that is.
I never heard of a gibbet before. It's equivalent to a gallows.
Yeah, it's an older term, but it checks out. Actually, I think...
Did you have to Google it?
No, because St. John, my trip to St. John's, they have a place called Gibbet Hill, where they used to hang people.
That's nice. That's real nice.
So I knew what it was from context to a history.
Neat.
Yeah. Although when I first saw it, there was a moment where I was like, "Gibbet, is that like entrails or something like that?" And then I was like, "No, right,
No, that's giblets.
giblets, yes,
Giblets.
giblets, yes."
And that's when you shoot someone with like a rocket
they
launcher
just
in
gib.
Unreal Tournament, and they just turn into flesh chunks.
Yeah, or as we
Yeah.
like to call it, it's when you gib somebody.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You're giving someone the rocket.
Exactly.
Yes. So they give.
Yeah. All right. So on to actual thoughts then.
I suppose.
I'm just going to start with this quote from the first paragraph. I suppose I'll start my story by setting the scene. I believe you've already set the scene of this narrative in a rather interesting audio drama sort of way to me. While I don't condone like the YouTube narrator scene with regards to the practice of just like reading somebody else's work and not asking for it, and just making money off of somebody else's work, or not even crediting them.
What the hell is he talking
Whatnot. Because that's a dick move. I do see this being ripe, like this story being ripe for that form of medium, like doing it as like an audio thing. Like this story to me felt like a radio drama, like it could have been like a radio drama.
Or
like,
a recording.
Or a recording, yeah, like an audio drama kind of thing. Or
interview,
like,
right?
Yeah, because it's the interview style, and like the way it's written, it kind of felt more like almost like a screenplay kind of thing than a traditional like story. I think it's because of the first person perspective that we get.
The scene isn't set though.
It is because that first paragraph really like sets like the kind of the tone of the story, where not set the tone, but it really kind of sets the narrative of the story, where it's being...
There's two narratives going on. One being a guy telling another guy the story.
And then
the other one
story.
being the story.
Yeah, and the story.
So the narrative of the story hasn't been set yet. So in the in-universe world, these two people are there. They're aware that they're there, but the setting for the story that he's telling the interviewer has not been set. That's what he's mentioning.
Yes, and that's... Obviously, that's what that quote actually means. Like he's setting setting up the scene for that. I just mean like out of game or out of story, like reading it. He's already kind of set the scene. I was just using that as the jump off point for my like the fact that I think the story could be used. As
Scene A is set.
Yes,
quite well
Move
with
on
the
to
interview
scene B.
situation. Yes.
Yeah.
The issue is sceneception here.
Yes. It's very sceneception.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's a story.
It's a scene within a
story.
scene, clearly.
Yes.
Yes.
But yeah. I do honestly like, and I get, when I was talking to him, it sounded like basically like he gets a ton of requests to read this story on like from readers, and he generally does actually like let them because he wants his like stories. He feels like well, he might as well like let his story like be out there.
Yeah.
And like I'm fine with, and just a quick aside, like I am fine with like YouTube narrators and stuff like that reading stories as long as they credit and they like. Or at least ask permission, and don't monetize without that. Like, because again, like you're basically just plagiarizing. Because
or like I feel like if they monetize,
transform
they should be like giving the author a cut.
Yeah, like if you don't if you don't transform it in a specific, like if you're just reading the story, you're basically just transcribing the story into another medium, and not transforming it. It's not a transformative piece. Therefore, you're plagiarism.
It's equivalent to what I currently hate on YouTube, and sorry to anyone out there listening that happens to do this, although I doubt it, is people doing reactionary videos to things.
Yeah.
Where they're just watching a video and reacting to it like what you would do if you just watched the video in the first place. If it's monetized, they're getting money to film themselves watching a video.
I mean, that actually all stems from something that happened a few years ago.
YouTubers react, or
no,
react.
No, it was a internet phenomenon, which I believe most of you listening may have heard of. 2 Girls, 1 Cup.
Yeah, that really did start the reaction video, didn't it?
Because literally when you Google that, the first thing you find is reaction videos.
Yeah,
I saw reaction videos. I was like, I'm stopping.
Yep.
I don't need to watch whatever they're reacting to.
Yeah, that really did start like the shock. Basically, the shock reaction videos is really what started that. And again, like just kind of like reading like creepypastas does like get it out there because it does promote the stories, but there's so many people that do it in the like borderline illegal, or not illegal, yes illegal, but like borderline like dick move way of like making money off of somebody else's hard work by just rereading the story that they did. Like
not crediting it, so it's assumed that they wrote it.
Exactly. Like you did no creative work to it other than using your voice on it, and like you need to do more than just that. Like, yeah. I believe that sets our stance on YouTube readings.
Yeah. And reactionary videos.
Yes.
Anyways, moving on.
Yes, moving on. Yes.
I apologize.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, here's the elephant. So here's a bit of an elephant in the room situation that we have. They played a short clip which looked to have been shot from a mobile phone, allegedly leaked footage. In 1998? So show of hands. Did anybody else get? Does anybody else get the issue here?
Yep.
I forgot the time frame.
Well, although
all I can say is no. You were so close to being free of any major anachronisms.
Okay. To be fair, it does say looked to have been shot from.
You know what? Hang on.
Oh yeah, that's true. Hang on. So it's just a really crappy camera.
So, just a little bit more, some more info dump. This is from the Wikipedia entry on camera phones. The first camera phone was sold in 2000 in Japan, a Sharp JSH04 J phone model. Although some argued that the SCH V200 and Kyocera VP210 visual phone, both introduced months earlier in South Korea and Japan respectively, are the first camera phones. Now, like you said, he says looks to have been. So maybe it was just a camcorder at the time that was so shitty that it felt like a mobile phone camera of the
modern day equivalent.
Yeah, the modern day. And it was like when it was being narrated and stuff like that, but so close. Like, because like, yeah, like you really, if that's the case, you really need to kind of emphasize that it's not actually a mobile phone. It's just it was like a mobile phone to like
the quality of a mobile phone.
Yeah.
And the other issue there is that even though it was the first camera phone, it didn't have video.
Exactly, until like 2002 or like in the mid aughts, basically.
Plus, all those locations you mentioned were not the UK.
Exactly. and again, I did like this was actually the first thing that came up when I started talking to Stephen about the story. Was there's that issue with the cell phone thing. I was like, yeah, it's on my list of shit I'm going to talk about.
But we fixed it.
Yeah.
It looks like it. It actually isn't.
And so
crappy camcorder. He messed with the aspect ratio because he's like, "What's this button do?" And it made it like really weird and vertical. It's like, oh, I don't know what button I hit. How do I fix it? Yeah. Oh well, it still works.
And it's also in context. He's talking about 1998 in 2018.
Is it 2018?
Well, 20 years later.
Is that when the story came out though? Like the story might be a little bit older, but even like in the mid aughts, it's still.
Regardless, there is a clear cut past time set, right?
Yeah,
1998.
So add 20 years on that, and that's when it's actually being interviewed.
Well, is there actually a 20-year gap, or are you just?
He says 20 years. I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
in the story.
I thought I looked and I didn't see that, but. Maybe. Okay.
It's when he goes back to the house.
Oh, you're right, yeah. Okay. Yeah, he does say it's been 20 years, so yeah, okay. Yeah, so, yeah, even, like, he might just be referring to, like, the quality of the video that was leaked, yeah. But it was like, oh, so close to, like, because the story was going on a pretty good pace until that.
I didn't get caught up on that because I totally forgot it was in 1998. Yeah, I did.
And then
it's fine.
If it had been a year later, it'd be like, and that's when Mr. Bear showed up. And
oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's actually the UK. This is where Mr. Bear was before 1999.
Yeah.
In 1998, he was in the UK, and then he vanished after he took all those 30 kids and went to Caledon, Ontario.
Yeah, to try his new shtick of running
Mr. Bear.
Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Bear.
Yeah. Long story short, that could be easily fixed by saying it came out with a quality of a mobile phone these days.
Yeah.
Easy fix.
Yep. All right, and then my the last of my actual thoughts before we go into final thoughts, and before you guys do your actual thoughts. So this is actually a fairly long paragraph. The final.
I'll go make a sandwich.
Yeah,
It's probably not that long.
it's 3 paragraphs.
All right, I'll go make a sandwich then. You guys want anything?
I'm good.
Actually, where's my... I should refill my water.
Yeah,
I'll be right back.
cool.
Go on without me.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, dogs.
So, the final picture was of me. Not just any picture, though. I remember exactly where I was when it was taken. Blurred by movement, and partially obscured by the hand of a police officer shoving the photographer away. I could just about make out myself being bundled into the ambulance. There was one other object in the folder, a doll. It was only half finished. The face had not yet been completed, and one of the arms had not yet been fully attached. The resemblance was uncanny, however. Everything was familiar, from the brown suit right down to the stupid teddy boy hairstyle which I had in the 90s. The doll was me. No, not at all. I was glad to help. I guess sometimes we get over events by reliving them enough times. I just hope I don't get in trouble for the break-in part. You won't publish that, right? Good. What? What's that? A fresh photograph of me? Sure, yeah, go ahead. Click. Oh. Gamer, if you want to come back, you can now.
Back, demons, back! I don't know why you have them guarding the water purifier so defensively. It's not necessary. There's running water here.
Well, Sari and Bus do like their water. Their pure water.
Yeah, I suppose.
Anyway. So that after reading that last that part of him finding out what's going on, I was just like, oh, it was the interviewer the whole time. Maybe? Actually,
it might actually just not be.
I think that would be really interesting, and I think that is actually where the story is kind of nudging it to be. I was beginning to think that honestly it was the cop from the beginning, from before the photograph, the cop who used to live on a chicken farm, perhaps. And then that was the farmhouse there with the barn, and there's chickens there. And where's that cop now?
He got turned into a ceramic doll.
Or he was the one that put them there after he killed his partner and then took
he
the kids.
faked his own death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But does narrator know at the end of the story, about the interviewer is that, or does he suspect after his findings?
I doubt it because he wouldn't have let him take a picture if he assumed.
Yeah, or maybe he's kind of just resigned himself to that fate, maybe after all those years, or is he oblivious? I think now after reading the story and going through it as we have on the show, my money is on that he's oblivious.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning I realized at that first paragraph. He's like, you look familiar. Have I seen you before? And then he doesn't put two and two together at the end of this. So yeah, I'm thinking that he's. It's kind of we as a reader no, narrator, the killer's in your house. He's interviewing right now. It's basically the doomed ending, and it's left to our kind of mulings as to whether or not the killer is going to kill him right now because he's finished taking a photograph and stuff like that, or if this actually is just a random interviewer and that's actually a red herring. It's up to you to decide if you want to have him die or survive.
Even if it is the killer, I don't think he'd kill him right then. He essentially has the picture and he would go back and finish the doll and then
kill him, or then whisk him away wherever he took the. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's my actual thoughts until we go into final thoughts. Mikey, these days for you.
Alright. So.
Looks like you were trying to break your phone in half there.
Yes.
Yeah, you're usually supposed to crack your knuckles, not crack your phone.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so. The part where it started falling apart for me was when gym class begins. So the kids go to do their change into their gym clothes.
Right, yeah, that's when they find the first doll and they go inside.
Yeah, basically he goes outside to check the weather, and then he finds the doll, and then all this, and it's like, well, that's totally unbelievable, because kids changing, like, the fast one's done in 2 minutes. And he left them unattended for at least 5 minutes. So, he's a really bad teacher.
He's a very fresh teacher.
Yes,
very new.
You would think that he would know these things?
Oh.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not on your side with this one. It also might be like because I also know that I feel like from what media and culture has told or pop culture has taught me about the UK in terms of its education system, I feel like it's actually a lot stricter, and the kids are actually a little bit more disciplined in terms of they're given a little bit more independence to do that kind of stuff unsupervised, because they will get in so much shit and they will get rulers on their hands if they go. Mm-hmm. If they go out of line and some of that, so I feel like
so if they're not rebellious jerks like all the kids up here.
Exactly, if they're not rebellious jerks like the people in Canada and America. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I feel like there is it's either kind of a UK thing for the person to go out there, especially during the 90s. So it's a slightly older time, not that much older, but still, and also. He is a greenhorn essentially as a teacher, so he may have a little more leniency in terms of his practices. Or
at the school there is a whole monitor situation, so there's people guarding.
Yeah, there might even be another supervisor of some kind, keeping the while he goes and checks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's not mentioned.
It's stuff that's not mentioned. That's the problem.
Yeah. So basically, at least 5 minutes of unattended children, and there's 30 of them.
And they're little children.
Yeah.
It's not like...
Yeah, this is essentially a preschool kind of situation, yeah. I don't know. I understand where you're coming from, I just don't subscribe to it.
But also, preschool situation, there's going to be some that need help changing.
Yeah. The older kids can help. What caught me actually, just quick side, quick kind of connection to this. What kind of caught me off guard was does their school? And I didn't ask him. I should have asked Shorter about it. Does school start in the winter in the UK? Because for us it starts in the fall, but
he started.
He started in the winter. Yeah. So so school. So he started in the winter.
The previous teacher was turned into a doll.
That's what we're missing. The previous character, the previous teacher is the doll maker.
There you go.
Also,
the kids pissed him off so much. He's like, you know what? I'm just going to end them.
I'm just going to fuck their day up.
People keep saying I look like that somewhat famous reporter. I'm just going to roll with it. Use that as my alibi.
Also, that's easily explained. It's a new schoolhouse, which means that they probably ran in the old ones until the new one was ready.
Yes, so that is also it is a brand new construction, and it went a little bit over into the fall season for construction, and when it was finally finished, it was winter. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll bite that.
All right.
At least nibble it.
Yeah.
All right, and then the next part that I was sort of annoyed with and had to read multiple times, and it's like, oh, there's more.
All right.
Okay.
So keep in mind, preschool, kindergarten.
Yes.
I put the few kids present to work on some story writing, and I phoned the bus company.
Maybe it's not actually preschool.
It might actually be preschool.
It might just be public school.
Maybe it's public school grade 1 kind of
his kids are 5 years old.
Does that say that?
The one kid that wasn't missing. And you usually have one teacher per grade.
It's a gifted school.
I think it might be so kindergarten at least.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I mean, there will be there are other people, there are other staff in the school.
But the issue
is the story writing.
Yes.
I mean, I got the story right when I was
in kindergarten. You're still learning how to read and write.
That's fair. Yeah. Maybe storybook writing, not storybook, like picture story writing,
drawing pictures. That would make more
drawing
sense.
pictures that portray a story.
Yeah,
that's the story writing with finger paints.
Yeah,
easily fixed.
Yeah, easily fixed. Just change that to
finger painting.
Yeah.
All right, and then the next thing, the very next sentence after phoning the bus company. No, they hadn't heard from the driver. He was probably just caught in traffic on his way through to the next town. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I know.
Is the next line? It's like, took the words right out of my mouth right there.
Yeah, legit. Like that is because it's like the narrator. The narrator is telling this to an interviewer, so he's like adding in his little insert audio, comments on it.
Also, I don't believe a bus would go from town to town. Unless there's an entire town that doesn't have a school.
That was the whole point of this school, was that basically they got commissioned, the Tyrrell got commissioned to build a larger school so that they could accommodate all the little hamlets and villages in the surrounding valleys.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it is actually like kids from all around, from all this rural area. And if you look at Bangor, Wyndon. Again, sorry for the name missing.
In the UK.
Yes. In that area, where this is supposed to be based out of, it's very, hilly, near, almost old mountain range style, hilly, where, it's, rounded mountains and, deep valleys and stuff like that, right next to this, where Bangor is. So, I could definitely buy that, it'd be, a bunch of, rural valley... villages.
They all have a communal school. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my note here is that I don't know how UK buses communicate to each other, but in Canada, in the 1990s, they had CB radios and had to check in periodically to say where they were.
Yeah.
So a school bus just going suddenly missing.
Another little counter to that, funding. They only just got enough money to make a new school.
They're in the buses though, by default.
So maybe the buses don't have. I don't know.
They're ancient school buses. Horse-drawn carriages is what they actually are.
Yeah, it's actually a very long horse-drawn carriage.
Yeah,
it's they might have had a CB radio, or maybe they'd we haven't he hasn't called back or something like that. Yeah, that would have. Yeah, if you...
It could be easily fixed just by saying the school bus hasn't checked in.
That's fair, yeah.
But that would
contact them,
raise red flags and whatnot. So
and
already
it would expedite the process.
Yeah,
but then it wouldn't be a horror story. No, actually, in this case, that's still that would also raise red flags a little bit earlier. But I don't think it would ruin the
no, it wouldn't change anything.
It'd just be he's not responding. Maybe it's bad reception because of the hills. Because CB, because again, it's a fairly mountainous area or hilly area. So
I don't know the specifics of CB and whether it goes through mountains.
Pretty sure, it might have. I'm pretty sure it would have some trouble bouncing through valleys.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. If only Captain Solenum was here and he could tell us about ham radios.
Insert his ham radio discussion now.
Whoops.
Or not.
Well, maybe.
And just leave that as silence.
Thanks. Thanks, future me.
Okay. And then I'll save the potential revelation for my final thoughts.
Revelation?
Oh, man. Gamer, you're up.
Oh, right, it's my turn. Figured I would know by now.
You'd think.
Alright, so the way that the story starts, just with, hi, no, you're not late at all, please come in, say, and it goes on with this, with Nair talking to no one. Is there actually a reporter there? Because the reporter doesn't say.
Well, okay, it's again, we are reading it as we're basically we're linking it right now. We're basically playing Link as the reporter, if Link was the reporter. What? So, because Link never talks. And
well, he does, though.
But we never hear it.
Okay.
But they respond. So
the thing is, this is a found recording. And basically, he only had the mic tied to himself.
The mix?
Yeah.
The mic.
Yeah.
The mic, really. Okay.
So, we don't get the other side of the conversation because it wouldn't pick up on the mic.
Uh-huh. No. But yeah, without a reason that you can't hear the simple things that the reporter's saying, because he's responding to it in a way that you know what the reporter is saying, so it's already set up that the reporter is saying these things, so why not have them say the things, is my whole point.
I don't have a problem with it, because it's basically like Legend of Zelda, where Link does talk, but we never hear him talk, but they respond to him as if he said something. Like, in Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask and stuff like that, like, Link supposedly talks, or like people talk to him, and then they respond to him as if he said something.
Yeah, Zelda's like, "What's your name?" And then it's like, "Fart Muffin." Oh, that's a cute name.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Sounds familiar.
I was like, "Or what are you gonna do?" Yeah, you should probably go there.
Yeah,
it's just that. Like, it's just the reporter character in this instance, while also potentially being the murderer, is basically the insert character for the reader.
And I get that it works in Zelda like that, but this also isn't Zelda.
No, I get that, but I'm giving that as an analog to like this type of first person story writing.
Oh, okay, but from the get go, it just made me think that the character is just insane, and they're just sitting at a table talking to like a pile of chicken bones.
That's an interpretation. Maybe he is just insane.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's just gone insane with grief of what he saw like all those years ago, and is just like talking to a nobody reporter. The air across the way.
He's in a padded cell.
Yeah.
There's like a child seat across the room.
Yeah.
With just like a pile of chicken bones on them.
Yeah. It's up to interpretation at that point.
Mm-hmm. But that just means assuming.
I don't care.
I care. The ending is a good type of assuming. This type of assuming, I don't know. Either way, moving on.
Yeah.
So early on, Nair's talking about becoming a teacher, and says, "I can finally prove myself by doing something I loved. The dolls changed that." Spoilers. Thanks.
Yes, because the doll, saying the dolls changed that really ruins the entire plot of the story.
Yeah, it totally does.
No, it doesn't.
Well, everything was fine until the Fire Nation attacked.
Yes, and the Fire Nation was made of dolls. Mm-hmm. They're all fucked.
It's just like, you know that something fucked up is going to happen with the dolls, so as soon as you see the doll, you know that is integral to the story.
Yeah, but what kind of dolls? Like, you don't...
The only doll in the story.
Like, the dolls... Yeah, exactly. Like, it's foreshadowing what is to come. It's writing 101. It's creative writing 101.
I get it. It's just... From the title Chicken Bones, I didn't know what to expect. But this early on in the story, I already knew what to expect. It's something to do with dolls and chicken bones, and that's 100% what it is.
And that's how
the only thing I'm missing at this point is the missing children.
Yeah, and
I'm like one paragraph in.
So
I almost know the entire story. That's my point.
I don't. Okay. I don't understand your way of thinking.
It's almost like we're different people.
I know, but you're complaining that you're a paragraph in and you already know a story because of a bit of foreshadowing that doesn't tell you anything other than dolls are involved in the tragedy that is about to befall. And you're reading creepypasta, so you know that there's going to be some kind of dark horror thing happening.
Yes.
Okay. So and you already told us we already know from the first paragraph that there's missing children. Because he hasn't talked to the press since the missing children. Mm-hmm. But why does that ruin the story?
I didn't say it ruined it.
Okay, it seemed like it was ruining the story.
I'm just saying it's spoilers. Thanks.
Okay.
I think the key issue is that it's blatant foreshadowing as opposed to subtle foreshadowing.
How would you make it subtler?
Not mentioning them and letting the dolls appear normally, because the first instance where the doll appears, I believe, would have a lot more impact if you took out that line about, oh yeah, it's the dolls, and then said, oh, there's a doll that You didn't know it was creepy.
It's not supposed to be there. But before you get there, you were already expecting a doll to show up in every single scene. So as soon as it happens, you're like, there it is.
I suppose,
and it's not as shocking.
I guess. Like I'm trying so hard right now, guys, to look at it from your point of view,
from an idiot's point of view.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you for
no problem
for saying it.
Yeah. We're all thinking it, including me, clearly.
But like, yeah, no, I'm just like, my knee jerk reaction is like, it didn't ruin it for me. But I am trying to like see it from your another point of view. It's like, yeah, I guess it could be, but it doesn't need to be.
Yeah, and again, I never said it ruined it for me.
I know, it's just the way you start. I'm apparently really terrible at inflections, because it seemed like you were just say it's like, this ruined the entire story for me.
No.
Sorry.
A lot of my notes, generally on stories, it's not like, this ruined it for me. It's like, I could see a way that this could have been done to make it more effective.
I think we've also pinpointed the issue that we always have with the spark of all our arguments.
Miscommunication
is miscommunication, and me reading different, not reading properly into your inflections of what you're saying.
Yeah, you just assume I'm an asshole all the time.
Well, I mean, I'm just gonna leave that in the air.
All right, fair. Moving on. So, yeah. And then my last note is just kind of a continuation of my first note. I just wish that the interview was actually there in the text, because the first time reading it, I took it at face value of, he's being interviewed by a guy, this is actually what's happening, needs a photo, okay, fine, go ahead. I didn't immediately make the connection, first read through, that it is potentially the murderer. So the interview section in that situation is almost unnecessary.
Mm-hmm. Except when you realize that the reporter is potentially the killer.
But when I was going over my notes again, I'm like, well, there has to be a reason, and that's the only possible reason.
Yeah, and there are evidence in there. Why would he bring up that he got all those he was being rushed into the ambulance and the police officer was shoving reporters, and then see a photo of a blurry photo of himself being put into an ambulance by being blocked up by reporters, and then he's talking to a reporter 20 years down the road after. Which, man, that killer is that's
another
really slow.
Thing. Yeah, if he actually wanted to be like, crap, I didn't get a picture of him, maybe finish him off.
Yeah, maybe this is the first. And you know what? Maybe he it only. He does say that he recently broke and entered into that house again and found those documents. So maybe that's what sparked the killer to go after him again, because he found him. Maybe he didn't know where he was. Because he might have
when he went to break in, he was just spying on him, and he was actually around the house and followed him home.
Yeah,
knew where he was.
Maybe he moved out, moved places to get away from reporters and stuff like that, because he was a shut-in for almost 20 years.
Yeah,
and then he decided to break into that place, and so maybe that's when the killer sparked the killer's interest again. I found him, kind of thing. Yeah.
Or let me say this: if the even though it's doing what I hate. Would it make it better? I say this because what I hate in stories is when you are 2 or 3 levels removed from what's actually happening. So right now you are 1 level removed of what's happening, because there's narrator talking about something that happened to him in the past to a interviewer, and you're listening to what happened. But if the interview is essentially written down as the story, copy and print and pasted from the paper, and then be this is what happened. Then at the end, essentially, there's another part that says that narratorman has gone missing. If anyone has any,
if you were to
someone else posted this online as a missing person ad, kind of.
Yeah. So here's the other way I'll take it. We take this. Take the story. So, we said earlier, that the story would be really good. Well, I said that the story would work really well as an audio drama.
Yes.
Because the way it's written and stuff like that, it's an interview format. You can easily transcribe it into a vocal, auditory experience.
Yes and no, because then you wouldn't have the interviewer.
No, you still can have that. You just it'd be like a radio drama.
Because Charlie Brown it with.
In some radio dramas, they do just have it's one-sided conversation.
Oh, okay. Either way, continue. I apologize.
So we take it another step, or not a step further, just another like direction. Switching it to a different medium, and that is to Photoshop a news article, like just straight up make a news article, like use like a traditional newspaper template, and make this the main the main article.
And put like a date
with
on
a photo of the guy in the middle of it.
Yeah,
and then at the end, and then the second one is the bottom article is missing man in Tier Goldwyn.
Mm-hmm.
Like former teacher gone missing, kind of thing. Like,
so in the same paper, his interview and his missing persons ad are put out.
Well, because they connect. Oh no, not a missing ad, just a missing a missing persons article, like an editorial of like somebody, like police are still investigating the the disappearance of former teacher and connected with this missing children's case from 20 years ago.
Yeah, and if anyone has any information about this case,
this is what he looks like.
Contact us.
And see
that's
above,
why they said
see above article for like refresher on the cold case.
Yeah, and if anyone has any connections to that, that's why they put it there. Yeah,
and then at the bottom have the signature like the reporter, because they always have like a reporter signature like Stabby McStabberson or bus driver or fake bus driver 99. Or whatever the guy's name is. I
thought it was a cop. Did we?
I speculated it was the cop until the ending, and I was like, "Oh shit! It's the news. It's the reporter." Because all that information that we get, like when he broke in and found out that photograph was of him.
Or it's a hot fuzz situation, and it's all of them. It's a community thing.
I actually have something in my final thoughts about that.
Oh, okay, cool. But that's my last note, so we can move on from that.
Okay.
Just a nice segue for you to roll into your final thoughts on.
So, on to final thoughts here. This one has a really good audio vibe, like I've mentioned a couple times, with a real-world creepy scenario of missing kids cases and a serial abductor/killer, though perhaps something supernatural is afoot. Because the taking of so many children at once, to me, was a bit of a stretch. Unless it was planned out, like, properly by, like, a single individual.
It's bullshit.
There is evidence there of, like, there was some, like, planning to this. Like, the guy takes photographs of the kids and then, like, that kind of stuff. And perhaps even the perpetrator, like, the abductor, the killer, whoever he is, or she is, or they are, had help. Like, there was, like, a small group of people. Because, like, again, 30 kids in a bus just vanishing. How does one person wrangle that many like rowdy kids? Like, a teacher could do it. But, like, how does, like, a potentially reporter guy do it? Like, or bus driver even really do it? Like, does he still have the authority? Like, does he, is he tricking them into thinking that they're on like a special trip first before they go to school? And maybe because, I mean, like, school sucks for kids in general unless you're like have a pleasant like experience with it. So maybe they're like all thrilled to go on like a special trip, in the woods near this farmhouse, and then they all get wrangled into this basement, and then lock the doors, and then that's them there, and then we'll just kill the guy later.
Or it's a situation where like the normal bus driver was sick. Sick.
Yeah, sick. He's also missing now.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So essentially, the murderer steps into those shoes.
That would have been another good addition to it if there was a doll
of the bus driver
at the bus scene, like the cops found, kind of like how the cops suddenly had two like police dolls in their car.
Yeah, I was about to say like why would the killer leave the dolls there, but that's what he does. He leaves the dolls there.
This is why I also said that it was some kind of supernatural thing afoot, because those two cops that went missing were outside of the school in their patrol car monitoring the situation, and somebody snuck past them, added 30 fucking dolls to that gate, and then abducted them and put 2 dolls in their car and walked and ghosted.
I'm going to say probably got the cops first.
Yeah. Probably, yeah. But, like, How?
Because they were sitting there and they would have witnessed it, so they need to go.
Yeah, but like my question is like I'm just like this is what gives the story a little bit more like additional creep factor, and like on either side is like, is there like a group of people behind this? Is there one guy that's just really fucking good at assassinating people and leaving like marks? Or is it like some kind of supernatural thing? Because a fog does roll in and then roll out during this scenario. Like during the story, like the narrator says at the beginning of the story of his recalling that a fog rolled in off the hill, off the mountains, into the valleys as this happened, and then it vanished and then it cleared up after the case happened.
It could be all explained mundanely, though, as well.
It can be. I'm saying
both of the cops are in on it. They've staged their own deaths, and they have dry ice machines.
No. The fog thing is just a UK thing.
That too, yeah.
To be fair.
Yeah, like it always comes in at this time, you know?
Yeah, it's like this is the perfect time to whisk away the bus because it'll vanish into the fog.
It'll look super cool.
Well, yeah.
Just for dramatic purposes.
Image-wise, like, because there is an image at the end of the story.
Oh, yeah.
And it's done, again, it's an image at the end of the story that ties into the thing. And also, when you link this story to something like, say, like a Discord account or like to a Twitter or something like that, that's the image that pops up. So it's a nice little, like, placeholder, like title card almost thing for the story because it's a bus going away, going away from the cameraman into the fog. Which is a great like visual, especially for the end of the story, because that's kind of what happens. Is the bus vanished basically into the fog.
Yeah. Would you have preferred a doll?
No.
Being shown? You like leaving it up to the mind?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there, actually.
And again, like it's the image is placed well, whereas like some creepypastas leave them at the top, and you're like, like Solifuge. It's like. They just give you the spider. It's like, but I think honestly, it would have been better to have the Solifuge, the image of a camel spider at the bottom of that.
But also, if you don't have any idea what a camel spider looks like, when it shows up, you don't know what it looks like.
Yeah, but at the same time, like,
so that one I'm gonna have to argue with you.
Except during the story, you find out what a Solifuge is, and it's a camel spider, and then at the end, it's like, it's a camel. So that's what it looks like. So I'm like,
but then you have to go back and
take
rewrite.
Take it or leave it, I guess. Yeah. Like it could go either way for me. And like for you, it would be better there.
Yeah.
For me, it doesn't matter, but I think it would be better at the end.
For most stories, though, it is better at the end.
But for this one, having the bus at the end does work.
Yeah,
because basically,
but it also doesn't spoil anything if it was at the start too.
No, but at the same time,
because it's talking about school.
At the same time, it does because it does talk about like because like we were saying, the missing kids and stuff is, and like the bus. Like we know that by having a bus going off into the fog, we know that. A bus full of kids right off the bat.
Yeah.
So yeah. So in this case, it's placed properly at the end.
Yeah.
And yeah, my question was like, where the fuck those two cops go? Like, how did he whisk them away? Unless it was some kind of supernatural, or they were in on it, or like a group of people just like assassinated them and then take them away. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, it's just whoa.
A lot of options.
I like the character's narrative. As it is both reasonably one-sided, for me anyway, like it seemed... And, like...
What do you mean, one-sided?
Like, again, like, one-sided, like, oh, hey, hello... like,
well, it's 100% one-sided.
Yeah, no, it is. Like, no, it's reasonably... To me, it was reasonably one-sided. Like, because it's kind of like that audio drama thing. Like, we are kind of imposing ourselves as the reporter, and then by the end...
I was taking your word reasonably differently.
Okay.
I thought you meant it's pretty one-sided, but no, it's 100% one-sided.
Yeah.
But you're saying it's done one-sided in a reasonable manner.
Exactly, yes.
Okay. I hate English. I hate it.
Don't you love being on a show that we critique stories and literature?
No. The English language is stupid.
And yeah, to me, it gave me, like, the story gave me some great visuals, for this creepy, dark mystery. Like, I don't think at any point was I, like, confused as to what was going on. Except, I will admit, when I first, like, read the first, like, line of the story, I was like, huh, why am I being talked to? and then I could...
You're the interviewer.
Yeah, and then I could read, oh, I'm the interviewer. And then by the end, it's like, and I'm the killer.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'll say this: if it was done in a choose-your-own-adventure, as you with like in a digital format, being like, "Oh, hi," and then you choose your response or whatever. But
yeah. And then that's the horror and final revelation for the player, or the reader and the player, is that you were the killer. No, John, you are the demons.
Totally.
So yeah, apart from some hiccups in Anachronism, and the cop dolls, or like the whole like cops like situation, like we don't really get any resolution as to like how they vanished.
You theorize a few ways though.
Yeah, we come to that. And aside from that one butt,
singular butt of a place.
That said, my God, probably the cleanest creepypasta of those that we've encountered. I recommend this one. Like, probably about 80%, because again, nothing's truly perfect, but this one was creepy. It had some really good visuals, and not too many issues regarding like the writing or even like the continuity. Aside from...
Until we sat down and started talking about it.
Aside from the camera phone, well, I don't entirely agree with some of the things that you brought up, but that's a lot of nitpicking. Yeah. It's also like, it might be like, again, a regional thing. Yeah. Like, it may be a little bit more different for the UK people than for Canadians. When it comes to like the school system and stuff like that. So, yeah, I recommend. Mikey, what do you got?
All right,
do it.
So
it's in the process.
It's revelation time.
Is it?
Which you almost touched on.
Oh, did I?
Almost.
Don't get too excited. You might be disappointed.
Nair is the murderer.
I was going. In my head while I was going through it, I was going to bring it up. I was like, no, I don't have any real proof to that. So do you have any proof as to why?
He has pictures of all the kids. Because it states that he has the picture of the missing kid,
and he knew exactly what he looked like.
Yeah,
and he also has he has a eidetic memory for faces apparently.
And he's been in hiding for 20 years. A reporter who's investigating the cold case follows this lead.
Perhaps the click at the very end is not the click of a camera, or maybe it is, but it's also the click of a gun. Underneath the table.
Oh, yeah.
He's Han Soloing it. Bam.
Yeah, he's going to shoot first.
Over my dead... Yeah, you take a picture. Over my dead body. Bam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that also gets rid of any discrepancies because he's telling half-truths.
Yeah, because... Yeah, I was like... I was almost thinking that that was an option when I was talking about like how... like he had like he was always like popping up and like, or he had like kind of like all this material to do it. Like he was at the scene, like he shows up. He also blacks out, so maybe it's not even like he's responsible for his own actions. Maybe he's like got like a split personality kind of thing that like goes and does this. Because he like blacks out, or like I almost thought there was gonna be like some kind of weird like psychological thing when he like went to the cops and there's just two dolls. It's like, are the cops actually there? And he's just like,
you just see them as dolls.
Yeah.
Like you're going to be killed later.
Yeah,
but that's what they're going to look like when I make dolls of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then I almost thought you had it when you're like, yeah, all these kids on the bus. Like, if you're a teacher...
Yeah, no, in my head, that was the moment where I was like, in my head I was like, should I bring up the, like, or wait, what if the killer's the big character? It was like, no, I don't have any real evidence aside from, like what a teacher, like, the teacher being, like, having, like, the chance. But yeah, no, like, okay, yeah, that's another theory.
Mm-hmm.
Hence why all this just started when he started.
Yeah, that doesn't hurt. Or that doesn't help his
like
case.
The day he starts, it starts happening.
Yeah, literally day one.
Yeah.
Yeah. For all we know, he killed the reporter for taking his photo.
Yeah,
that's why he got the photos in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow. That is...
Would it be released?
I mean, I wouldn't say like it's like 100% like cemented that he is the killer, because
it's surprisingly plausible.
It's plausible, but not as, to me, it's not as plausible as some of the other ones we came up with.
But the fact that it's even there.
Yeah, the fact that look, that's the thing about the story. Like I love about these kind of endings is like we can theory craft after we've read the story.
I mean, some stories they leave it so open where it's like, okay, I have to make up my own ending.
But then there's stories that do like this.
Yeah.
That like you walk. It's like, again, I referenced it a couple of times, but like you walk away out of sleepaway camp and it's like, what did we just do you guys see that?
Yeah, just like talking to random people.
It's like, yeah, like just like 5 minutes, like 30 minutes go by, and they're just still outside of the theater, just talking about like what they just experienced. Yeah, like that's what I love about these kind of endings. You either, and especially when they do it right, because when they don't do it like how we said, like I feel like the ones that like we're like, well, they leave us too much, like there's too much like
in the air
ambiguity,
yeah,
and you're just like they don't shoot the landing basically, is because they're trying to do that like theory craft ending, like that make you speculate at the end or make you think ending. And when they what are
you trying to say?
When they shoot the landing,
nail the landing.
When they nail the landing, yeah. So when they nail the landing, they do it well. Like they like it's this kind of story where like we're not complaining about the ending. We're talking about the ending and theorizing what the fuck we just read.
Yeah, there's enough there that it didn't stop.
Yeah.
It ended.
So, okay. So
yeah, so that being said, I didn't really like the twist with the reporter being the killer, but I prefer the twist with the narrator being the killer.
Alright, that's fair.
Mm-hmm. Because, to me, that twist makes it so that is he telling the full story?
Yeah, like I almost feel like the cop. I feel like he was setting up the cop, like at the beginning, like who was like raised on a farm, to be the killer. Because again, it would also make sense like why are those cops gone? Well, they were actually one of them was the guy and his partner, so he was a partner in crime. Mm-hmm. But then the reporter thing is kind of like does start. Not early, but like maybe mid story. Like they insert like him going into the ambulance and being barraged by like photographers or by camera guys and reporters, and then he finds the documents in the shed near the end of the story, and he knows exactly where that photo is because it was when he was going into the ambulance and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So, but like it is kind of like. Later into the story that we get the information that the killer is that guy. Mm-hmm. I don't know, like
nothing's cemented.
Yeah,
but the fact that he wanted to take a picture at the end is set up so well because in that situation, yeah, if you're doing an important article in a paper or whatever, you would take a picture of the guy.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, and again, it is like kind of left there. Like everything here, like we have basically three suspects: cop. Reporter, and the teacher himself. Mm-hmm. And potentially the fog, so forth. The fog itself is actually some kind of supernatural element.
Or the bus driver.
Which
might be different.
Or the guy who leaked the footage.
Yep.
Except I think it
or the kid, that he, like, the kid that went missing the first time.
No. But so we have about like three. There's about three or four like solid suspects here.
Yes.
Yeah. So. It is a partial recommendation for me.
Okay. And just for the head count, my money's on the reporter, your money's on the teacher. And now, Gamer in Yellow.
It's up to me.
Yeah.
To either...
You don't have to say like what your money's on until after your recommendations.
Okay. Well, either way, I'll recommend it as well. I enjoy the story all the way through. I didn't know what to expect with Chicken Bones as the title.
I'm not going to lie with you. I was also not exactly sure what I was expecting when I read the story. I knew that it was a Stephen Shorter story, but it was called Chicken Bones, and there was a photo because I did see the photo of a bus going.
Well, yeah, because I always scroll down to see how long it is.
Well, yeah, because I had to do that for my Google Doc stuff and like getting my notes and stuff gathered. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I was like, okay.
Do they have spoiler tags for pictures on creepypasta websites? Because like when a picture is a spoiler, this one really isn't a whole bunch. I feel like it should be hidden under a spoiler. I
know there are some that you can't. Like I know it's really easy to do. You just need to, well, at least with Discord and so that you just have to like put 2 vertical lines on the front and 2 vertical lines behind on the other side, okay. And that black bars it basically.
But when you click on it, it opens it.
And then when you click on it, it unspoils it.
Okay, but either way.
Or unspoils it. It declassifies it.
Reveals it, yes. It unredacts it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not spoiled until you click.
Yes.
And if you click reading at the right point, it's not spoiled at all. Because it's revealed. It doesn't matter. Either way. I didn't know what to expect with Chicken Bones, but I like the story. There's, like, as we've been talking about for X amount of minutes.
Hang on. An hour and 20 minutes.
Hour and 20 minutes that we've been talking about. There's a lot of different ways it can go. And, like I said earlier, it doesn't stop, it ends. A story needs to end. Like, my two things that make me enjoy the story most is when it ends properly and when you can get immersed in the situation.
And you just nailed it. A story, like a bad story, just stops.
Yeah.
A good story ends.
Yeah.
And there is a difference between those two.
Yeah, because stopping is like, well, what happened to this and that? Like, there's loose ends to tie
But when
up.
a story ends, it's... What the fuck did... Guys, we have a conversation here. Right?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
You just read. Like, who do you think's the killer? Or, like, what do you think's happened here? Like, that's a good conversation, like post-story conversation piece.
Compared to some other ones where it's like, what the fuck happened here?
Yeah, like, why did it stop?
Yeah.
Like, are we missing a part of the story?
Yeah,
like that. It feels not concluded. It feels satisfying. Mm-hmm. It's a satisfying stop. Is what an ending is.
Yeah, like I don't need to ask for more.
Yeah, like you're content. That's what content to discuss with your friends or like other fellow readers of the story. Mm-hmm. But you're not like begging for more information because the story just ended. Like it just dropped off.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like the different theories we came up with. I'm not sure which one's my favorite. I mean, the reporter makes the most sense. Like, him coming back. Like, that's the one that's clearly put there. It's like, either you read it as the killer was some random killer and it has nothing to do with Nair
like
or the interviewer.
Driver,
or it could be anyone. But the possibility of it being the interviewer is cool.
And it seems like the story was building up for that. Mm-hmm. Like that revelation at the end. Because we get the information, like some hints right close to the end.
Yeah.
That the reporter is the killer.
But it's not hammered home how weird it is that he's taking a picture. Like, if he's doing an audio recording of it all, and saying, like, he's doing it for a radio show, and he's like, I want to take your picture, too. It's like, for radio? Okay.
But it's an article, yeah.
But, yeah, everything is clean cut. There's nothing that Nair could really see to notice that it's the killer. Mm-hmm. Like, even early on, it's like, do I remember you?
Yeah, he referenced right at the beginning.
Yeah.
And not until we started redoing this, like talking about the story here and, like, reading the first bit, like, for our rundown, I was like, oh, shit, he already, like, he's kind of, like, already doesn't suspect, but he, like, looks familiar.
Well, he looks familiar because he says he's a relatively famous reporter.
Yeah, but...
Or interviewer.
He could also be that.
He could still have a dark, frickin' home life where he does this.
Yeah.
But he puts up a normal facade.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it could be that he's just remembering the reporter, because he's a fairly popular, famous reporter, or the story could lends it to have that could be that he's remembering him because of that event that happened way back.
But overall, I enjoyed it. I don't know where to side with favorite ending though, because the reporter one is the one that's put out there first. Mm-hmm. But the most interesting is probably Nair. Because Nair's never been the bad guy. He's always been our hero.
I think there's been a couple where there has been one, at least one, your debut episode of the show.
Who's you? This is not a podcast.
Sorry, Mikey's debut episode of the show with Picture This. And it turned out the narrator was actually a serial killer who kills critics of creepypastas.
Oh, nice!
By making shitty by adding purposeful errors and problems in his stories for the people to critique, and then he goes and hunts them down and kills them.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
that's real nice. All right, yeah, that one's probably my favorite because I did not think of that at all. So thank you, Mikey. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. All right, well. That was this week's episode. If you like what you heard, or if you didn't, leave us a comment section below. We're on Kiwi6, Facebook, YouTube, Tumblr. We're also on Twitter. Mikey is at the E stands for evil. Gamer in Yellow is at the Gamer in Yellow without the W because they took his last character.
For the @ symbol.
Yep. I'm at Review Cultist, so you can contact us there and talk to us. We're relatively chill people there.
Relatively?
Yeah.
All right, fair.
I mostly talk to people when they talk to me, and I like and retweet like spooky things and strange things that I see on Twitter. Though I don't think you have much of a presence down there.
I should, but I don't.
I should.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's technology.
Yeah. You can also get a hold of us via email at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's ALDENTERIGAMORTIS@gmail.com, where you can also leave us suggestions for other creepypastas you'd like us to discuss on the show. And if you'd like to help support the show, you can go to Patreon. Look up Al Dente Rigamortis and select the backer tier you'd like to support us at. We have $2 and $5 tier with extra episodes, special episodes, or extra content, special episodes, and early access to episodes a couple of days before they air proper. And for our patrons that are already helping support the show, thank you immensely. You're helping keep those hosting bills at bay, and we very much appreciate that. And to the listeners and authors of these stories, specifically this one, Stephen, thank you, because without your stories and without your listenership, we really wouldn't have a show. So thank you. Until next time, I have been your host, Review Cultist.
I am Mikey, the E stands for evil.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
This has been Al Dente Rigamortis. Sleep well. Click. Chicken bones.
Right. That's the one with the chicken bones.
Yep.
Yes.
and the 30 missing children.
So many chicken bones.
Okay.
So wait, what the hell's the elephant in the room?
We'll get to it. We'll get to it. Don't worry. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We got you. It'll be funny. It'll be funny regardless. If
I hate being that guy. That misses everything.
It's fine. You're the layman. You're the straight man in our show. It's fine.
It's the giant plot hole.